So it says preparing to live stream.
Mhm.
There we go. This is when we smile and keep a fixed expression on our faces while we're waiting for it to keep going. There we go. Right, I'm just going to share this to my group. Hello, everybody watching live. We're just doing the sharing and the screaming, the streaming, not the screaming. So hello, everybody watching live. There we go. So to anybody watching live so far, I am just sharing this to multiple places. So excuse while I am doing the share. So I'm sharing this in multiple places. So if I get comments, I will try to respond to them, but know that I've shared this in a few different places. So I may not be able to respond immediately to your comments, but I will do my best. There we go. So there we go. Good morning. I said this to Lara when we first joined, because even though it's the evening, for some reason, every time I greet people, I say good morning, but it may be morning where you are. Good day. So this is another installment of the Shameless Sex and Pleasure series. It's where I chat with and interview some awesome friends and colleagues and people that I think are amazing in the field of sex, sexuality, gender, bodies, pleasure. It's a way for me to chat with people I think are awesome, but also to expand your possibilities of pleasure, to help us to question everything we think we know about sex, sexuality, bodies, gender, genitals, pleasure, the taboo, everything. Especially if you are somebody who's been very curious, if you've been brought up in a certain way that's given you a lot of shame and a lot of feelings of I can't be the way I am. So today I'm really excited, I'm always excited to chat with another friend and colleague of mine. So this is Lara, AKA Divine Theratrix. And I want, Lara, for you to introduce yourself to everybody, because I always fuck up the bios. So I want you to introduce yourself to everyone.
Okay, thanks, Lucy. First of all, really happy to be here and have an opportunity to talk about my work. Yeah. So what is that work? I'm a multi-modality practitioner, so I do a few different things, and I help individuals and couples with those things. When someone asked me the other day, what do you do? I get this curiosity a lot, and I gave a very short answer. I said, I teach people how to do BDSM. Yeah, it's quite a rough and ready definition of one part of the work that I do. And the response was, that's the most obscure job I've ever heard of. I took that as a compliment.
Yeah, we forget that outside of the kind of sex positive bubble, that because in our field it's like, oh, okay, do BDSM, that's fine, but to a lot of people that is really obscure and strange. But carry on.
Yeah, so I love to create spaces where people can come into a hands-on learning space and be coached through ways that they can incorporate BDSM into their own intimate lives, because they might be aware that they have trauma and they want someone with a therapeutic background that can hold the space for them whilst they're being taught. Or there are all kinds of different motivations. It could be curiosities around bringing something new into a relationship. It could be experiencing another aspect of BDSM and wanting some guidance around that. Yeah, it could be someone who's completely new to it and they want to be shown around an equipped venue and be guided through in real time how to use all the equipment safely. That's one bit, this teaching part, which one area of the work. One of the other three is ritual. So the ritual is where I provide BDSM myself. So I'm not teaching other people how to do it. I am actually the person who is delivering an activity to another person. and I create a ritual container, or there are a number of different types of containers depending on which ritual is chosen. And I developed these to be transformative experiences, and drawing upon my shamanic background there. It's really an emotional landscape, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very emotional. And what I was saying as I was talking about this upcoming interview today is that a lot of people have a certain idea around what BDSM is, and that, you know, for a lot of people, kink and BDSM is all about whips and chains and latex and punishment. And while that is one aspect of it, it's actually one aspect of it, of the many different things that BDSM encompasses. And a lot of people don't always realize that BDSM can be an intensely spiritual practice, and BDSM can be incorporated into ritual if you're already somebody who's very spiritually minded, and you already create rituals, you can include BDSM as part of that ritual experience. As well as BDSM can also be fun, it can be playful, it can be nurturing, it can be soft. There's a whole world out there that people think, you know, because of the way that BDSM is depicted in a lot of the media, you know, 50 Shades of Grey, for example, there's one idea that people tend to have about BDSM. And while that is definitely one aspect of it, I think that today we're going to be exploring another aspect of it. And I know that a lot of people watching may already be nodding your heads going, yep, I do conscious kink, I'm very experienced kinkster. And I know that for anybody who's done kink and BDSM or is a regular kinkster, even if you don't have particular spiritual beliefs, I think a lot of people can attest to that spiritual experience, that feeling of euphoria, that feeling of oneness that you can experience within a scene together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, Lucy, I've got one more little point on my work.
Carry on. Keep going.
The other pillar, I suppose, is my talking sessions. So if someone just wants to talk, because I'm a qualified counsellor, I can talk to them about, it might be kink related, could be relational issues. I like to serve marginalised communities, you know, kink lifestyle, polyamory, sex workers. I get a lot of people from those communities come to me because I've got my own lived experience, and they feel more confident expressing what they need to express with me than they would a therapist who doesn't have backgrounds in those types of orientations and lifestyles.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, it's like the whole of your work that's why your professional name is Divine Theratrix, because it's a way of kind of encompassing all of these different aspects of your work. Divine Theratrix. And now I get why it's divine.
Yay, thank you.
Okay, so today we're going to be exploring animal play. And I'm correct, it's animal play, not pet play, or are they different terms?
Very good question. I decided to create a catch-all term for myself, to refer to a bunch of different things that I do. So animal play to me, in terms of what I do, includes pet play, and it includes primal play, or really any type of activity where someone is adopting the behaviour or mannerisms of an animal which is not a human, because we're animals too.
Yep. We have a mammalian nervous system, we are mammals, we are animals, and we have reptilian brains as well.
Yeah.
So to the uninitiated, tell me about animal play. What is animal play and how does it relate to what you do?
Yeah, so I'll talk about pet play first as one of the activities that I mentioned. This is a type of BDSM role play, and it could be solo, it could be in a group, but I'm going to use the example of two people doing it, because this will probably be the easiest one to picture for someone who's new to it. Two people, there are two roles. One is what's considered to be the top or dominant role. I don't tend to work with the framework of dominance and submission myself. That's another conversation. Top and bottom. So one person is generally leading or in charge, and the other person is following. And so in pet play, the top is someone that we might call a trainer of the pets, or they might want to be called the owner, they might want to be called the handler. It's down to personal preference and what resonates with the people that are engaged in this play. So yeah, essentially you have your trainer and you have your pet, and the pet will be adopting mannerisms and behaviors of the animal that represents the pet that they want to be. So let's just take the example of a puppy play. Yeah. And again, this is very individual, depending on how people want to feel when they engage in this play. Vast array of activities that could be done. But let's just say generally, the handler will be creating a structure for the pet, and so that structure will include things like rules and commands, and provides a space for tasks to be allocated to the pet potentially, so they have an opportunity to feel a sense of achievement and to focus their attention on one person, to receive physical affection, to petting if they do well, or equally some form of punishment, shall we say. I put quotes because in this type of play it's never really punishment, because it's negotiated and agreed in advance. So let's just say a puppy enjoys being spanked. They can create a situation where they receive a spanking if they deliberately get a task wrong. If it's been agreed that your punishment if you get a task wrong is that I'll spank you, i.e. if they misinterpret a command. So if the command was to lay down and they rolled over, then they might get a spank for that. So they might do that deliberately to receive a spank. So they might call it punishment, but it's not really for them because they want it to happen.
And like, for people who aren't, or who don't know a lot about this, what would make somebody want to go for an animal play or a pet play session?
Let me think about my own work, because that's really the only place I can come from. Otherwise, I'm just trying to imagine all the other possibilities. My ADHD is just going to go.
So why do people come to you for pet play and animal play sessions?
When they come to me, things I notice are a desire to feel more playful, a desire to feel more confident, and a desire to experience something different. It's, in my interpretation, a type of BDSM play that can be very light. It's not necessarily all about being serious or all about being sexy. And that's great for me, because I got a bit fatigued with all of that after a while. Like, oh God, there's just too much to try and be sexy and serious all the time. I just want to be a bit silly.
I remember when I was just learning about BDSM, and I had these similar misconceptions that it was all about, again, being serious, being punished, or being sexy. And again, that is an aspect of it, and very much so. But I didn't fully realize until I got really close friends with a really good friend of mine who's a kinkster, is that there's a lot of fun and silliness, and there can be. Or I remember when I met a woman who said, look, I didn't think I was a dominatrix because I didn't want to punish people, but then I learned that I could be a nurturing dominatrix and I could be maternal. And I know that a lot of us are missing play at the moment, especially now. And what do you feel that your clients really get from sessions? Do you feel they get what they want, what they need?
I can reduce that down to a want to feel different. They're aware that they've been experiencing a particular mood or set of moods for some time, and they just want to shift it. And to have someone else involved in creating an intervention
Yeah.
by taking them away from everyday reality. So the setting is so different that it perhaps makes it easier to feel different, and the permission in that space is a lot more obvious because they have gone there specifically to feel something different.
Yeah.
So if there's someone that is generally very self-conscious, worried about what people think of them, they might be very quiet or withdrawn, then going into a space with me and it's been negotiated and agreed that we're going to do some pet play. So, you know, perhaps you're going to be on all fours and you might be asked to make sounds and we might play some silly games. You know, perhaps they're like, okay, well, I wouldn't usually do this type of behavior, but this is what I'm here for. You've asked me to do it and I've agreed. So deep breath, I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah. We know that there's the kind of classic personal development trope of pushing yourself or going out of your comfort zone. And sometimes the most reliable way to change behaviors or to get out of your own funk is to put yourself in a completely different setting. Like, even if you've never heard of BDSM or pet play, a lot of people, okay, I know that in order to get out of a funk, I need to go away somewhere, or I need to try a class that's completely not my usual forte. It's the same thing. It's the same intention, it's the same outcome, even if the process is slightly different.
Yeah, absolutely. In my mind's eye or sense of feeling, I perceive that type of experience as really like stretching the band of our awareness of ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just thinking how much I've done things in workshops before where I've embraced an animal part of myself, and it's something that I tell my clients: we are all mammals. We all have a mammalian nervous system. Just like animals, we shit and we make smells and we make noises. And sometimes, in order to reclaim our humanity, is to reclaim the animal part of ourselves. That, you know, our divinity and our spirituality is really important, but as humans, we're like this merging of spirit and animal. We are both. We are flesh and blood and spirit. So how did you get into animal play?
There's a few layers to that. I think I'll start with the earliest one, which is in childhood. I was pretty much always around at least one animal. We had a lot of pets, dogs and cats and all sorts, and I spent a lot of time with those animals and derived a huge sense of fun, of comfort, and just this unspoken connection and awareness of what the emotional states were at the time, and you didn't have to use words to explain anything, and that was just lovely. So yeah, there's this general love for pets and animals which has been there, and so, you know, when you discover that, oh, there's a pet play thing in BDSM, it's like, oh, that resonates.
Yep.
Yep. You know, about puppies and kittens and ponies. Okay. So there's that sparking of interest. And also personally, with my own mannerisms and habits, something that I had become aware of over time and in the context of a number of adult relationships was that I would quite often make sounds, either to myself or just in a space with another person. And it wasn't really something that I was consciously aware of. And I didn't become aware of it until a partner said, why are you always making those sounds? What does it mean? And I realized, it's like, well, I'm just expressing how I feel without the filter of language. Yeah.
See, I make those sounds as well. It's like, and also, you know, I think my animal would be a cat, because I think this is a lot of people's animals, because I love being petted. Stroke me now, pay attention to me now, rub my belly now, feed me now. And it makes me think that, again, it's one really useful way, or default, it's a really useful way of taking us out of our thinking patterns, or out of, especially when So I tend to work with women or people assigned female at birth who struggle with overthinking, where you can't get out of your head, where you struggle to ask for what you want. Using sounds and non-verbal words, like animal sounds, can be a really simple way of getting out of your head. When you can't verbalize what you want verbally, very useful sound. Or and before we go on, I'm just curious because my awesome friend Angel is watching, and hi Angel, because he is a sex coach, and he also is a dog trainer as well. So I think this is Angel's perfect video here, combining the two awesome worlds of sex and kink and animals. Anyway, so hi Angel.
Yeah.
So where are we? And he says hi. So I know that you provide animal play and pet play and animal play into your professional sessions, but is it something people can bring into their regular relationships and intimate lives? And how can they do that?
Yeah, totally. I think the easiest way is to develop a practice, which is something that you and I have been doing instinctually, making those sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, developing your own animal language, perhaps. And that can be something that brings greater self-awareness of like, oh, actually, when I make that sound, I'm a bit annoyed or frustrated.
Yeah.
And that's something that can be shared with your partner. You know, if I make this sound, it's probably because something like X, Y, or Z is going on.
Yeah.
And that can be brought into intimate play via, I don't know, let's just say you say, all right, 20 minutes, we're just going to be animals. That's what I want. That's what I want right now. Things are a bit hectic in my mind. I don't really know what I want to say or ask for, but okay, let's just do animals for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can put in place whatever boundaries you want to, such as, all right, well, for this 20 minutes of being animals, I don't want you to touch me. We're just going to move around and make sounds. Or, yeah, whatever works.
I'm thinking of, especially when couples struggle with touch, or where touch is a thing where you keep missing each other. I'm thinking like, I'm going to be a cat now. And so you can touch me as you would touch a cat. And if I don't like something, I'll swipe you. Or just a way that you can play with each other where, meow, touch me now. And it's making me think of all the really, if you are a pet owner already, maybe you and your partner already make pet noises to each other, or you pretend that you're the cat or you're the dog. I'm thinking it could be pretty simple to transition that to including that more into your intimate life.
Yeah, totally. Or just saying, yeah, I feel a bit like a cat this evening. It gives your partner some information upon which to proceed, perhaps. So, okay, do you want lots of strokes? It can open up a conversation.
I think
Would
a
you like
lot
to
of
be
us
played with? Would you like to be fed?
I think that I have a really close friend who said she identifies with being a cat in that she wants to be left alone, but only petted on her own terms and then left alone and then fed. I mean, probably sounds like me as well, actually. I want to be petted and given lots of attention, but then also go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you've had enough, you've had enough.
And something I'm thinking of before I answer the next question, which is when I'm with clients and we're talking about pleasure and asking for what we want, because again, most of my clients kind of resonate with the good girl or struggling to ask. I think of, well, imagine most of my clients have had pets in the past or own pets. Think of your cat or your dog. They have no qualms about asking for what they want and also expressing when they don't like something. Can you be more like that? Be more like your dog, be more like your cat. See where it gets you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm also kind of transitioning to BDSM and ritual as well, because pet play can be part of BDSM ritual, but I'm curious how else you create BDSM rituals for your clients.
So, yeah, what shall I do to answer that question? How I create rituals? I mean, the structure is very important, and I tend to think in terms of usually 3 main activities to create a journey, and that's all pitched towards, what are the emotional markers of this journey?
Yeah.
Are they moving from a soft state? You might see my cat's tail in a minute. She just jumped on my lap. Yeah, there we go. Do they want to move from a soft state into a playful state? Do they then want to be taken up further, or do they want to be brought back down? So a typical ritual may begin with a guided meditation, where they will be in a quiet space. I usually offer a blindfold as well. Nothing is compulsory, it's all an invitation. But I tend to know from experience now what kinds of things can help with an experience, and just having a blindfold on, even if you've got your eyes closed, tends to create a sense of going inwards, which works well for a guided meditation because the person will be focusing on what's coming up in their inner world. So yeah, guided meditation to start off with a nice regulated nervous system, start setting the scene, setting the emotional tone, and then there will be some form of what I would call a structure, a BDSM structure, which might look like pet play, might look like spanking, it might look like a partial suspension and different types of sensory deprivation, depending on what type of ritual it is. And then there needs to be the cool down, so the aftercare period. So, that's the main 3 parts of the action set. And then, it's bookmarked with sit down chat and an intro and recap, and then finished off with a debrief as well. Yeah.
What are the reasons that people come to you to create a ritual?
Usually it's because they have an awareness that something needs to change. They want to change something, and whether that change comes about through a particular experience in their life being honoured, it could be to do with grief or grieving, and they want a held space to honour the journey that they might have been through with that grief and to help process the situation. Or it could be that they're on a journey of personal development, and then they've come across my obscure offerings and they think, actually, maybe that could be the next thing that I add on to whatever journey I'm crafting for myself.
This is how a lot of people come to sexuality work as a whole, as an umbrella, which is where you've been on this personal development journey of therapy, coaching, whatever. And for a lot of people, it feels like sexuality, I'm using the umbrella term there because sexuality encompasses many things, as the final hurdle, the final frontier, the last thing to, even though it's never the last thing, there's no such thing as the last thing, but for a lot of people, especially around BDSM as well. And go on.
Yeah, I was just going to add on to that, is looking for a breakthrough experience. That seems to be the common thread amongst those that come to me wanting to experience a ritual, is that they want to break through onto new ground, whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I've had ritual done before. I've been to retreats where we've done ritual. I create my own rituals, and humans have always created rituals, and rituals are a really powerful way of communicating with the subconscious mind as well, to create breakthroughs, to say, okay, this is the end of one chapter and the beginning of the other, and this is my way of putting that flag in the ground and signifying to the universe, to whatever is greater than myself, that this is what I want to happen, this is what I want to change. And I think many people who've never worked with or done BDSM can realize just how much BDSM can be part of that. You know, if you've done fire walks before, or you've done ice baths or anything else, this is just another way of doing intense sensation and experiences.
Yeah, and creating symbolism.
Yeah, because ritual is about symbolism. BDSM also about symbolism and playing with the subconscious or the unconscious, or what we usually don't want to bring to light.
Yeah.
So how can people find you? How can people contact you? How can they follow your work or book a session with you?
First place would be my website, which is www.divinetheratrix.com.
Awesome.
And on there, they can find information about my holistic exploration sessions, which can incorporate all kinds of different teachings, and it's down to them to pick which ones they would like.
Awesome.
Yeah. And they can read about the types of rituals that I can provide, and they can also read about talk sessions, and then there's an inquiry form as well. Yeah, so going to the website would be a good place to start. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, both under the same handle, Divine Theratrix. But mostly for the last 4 months, my life has been taken away from those platforms because it's been taken over, shall I say. I will allow myself a little bit of drama. Taken over by a renovation of some studios, which is, a big project that has pushed all the other ideas in my brain to one side for now, because I really wanted to create a sacred space, a community space, somewhere that I can work from, somewhere other practitioners can work from, and somewhere that people from the communities that I work with can come to and be able to be themselves, play, learn, just feel really comfortable. So that's Centaur Studios, Hackney.
Which is really exciting, especially for whether you are wanting to have BDSM sessions and exploring, and also for other professionals and sexuality professionals to be able to see clients from, because it's very difficult for our colleagues who work with intimate touch especially to find a venue where they can see clients that isn't their own home. So I'm really glad that you created this. I know this has been a long time coming for you. You were saying how it's been a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've learned all sorts of things which I never thought I would learn, like how to use a hammer drill and how to fix plasterboards and using an angle grinder. I never knew that I would love power tools as much as I do.
I imagine it's just that feeling of like,
yeah.
Sorry,
crashing and destroying and remaking. It's very satisfying.
It's it must be just so good for, I've said, not just completing the stress cycle, but just for taking out a lot of intense emotions.
Yeah.
We've got a few comments here. So Angel just said you can definitely clicker and treat train a human, which is very true, because he is a master dog trainer in Canada, and so obviously clicker and treat training for dogs and for humans.
Yeah.
And Eliza has said, I do like the word theratrix, a very interesting conversation, which I'm sure people will find illuminating. Thank you, Eliza. She is someone who is very regular in my group, and I feel that she has so much to share with everyone, especially in her own experience as well. And it's interesting, as we're saying that, the cats just come in here as well.
Oh, lovely.
I find, it also something that, and one thing I wanted to add is my mentor, Dr. Paddy Britton, whenever she has done a live SAR or aspects training, at the end of them, she always hands out animal cards. And she does an animal card reading because she's very much about exploring your own sexual animal and animal medicine as well. So I wanted to throw that in as Kitty is exploring the whole room. So it's been a real delight speaking with you, Lara, aka DT, Divine
Thank you.
Theratrix. DT, and I'll put all of your links in the caption when I publish this online as well. And this has been awesome. So I'm going to stop this live stream now. Oh, before I do, just any last words from anybody before we close this live stream? Of course, when this live stream is finished, you can still leave your comments and I will respond to them later. And maybe Lara will respond to them as well.
Sure.
So thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Goodbye, Lara.
Thanks, Lucy.
There we go. Let me stop the live stream. There we go.